projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk Today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
A wonderful welcome to each and everyone as we invite you to be a part of our discussion. I'm honored to be a sit across the table from stalwarts within the public service, and in particular in our fire service, as we invite you to share with us, show their respect and love and appreciation. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email Talk Today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard.
And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And if you ever hear me say it's because I say it with honesty and integrity and with an absolute assurance that within the public sector we have the best. When caller called in one day and say, you know who the best people in the country, the most skilled and employed as within the public service. And when we have our friends from the Cayman Fire Service, well, we can see why. So to our station manager, Ms. Tiffany Ebanks, welcome. Thank you so much for what you do for reminding us that we can be successful. We are, and through people like you, we can do more together.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and to our Deputy Chief Admin, Ms. Tiffany Ebanks, McBean, welcome. Oh, Tina I wrote it down and I was going to say it. Tina and Tiffany and Tina. Could be twins. Miss Tina, I know better. I apologize.
No problem.
You see, when you read something, you see it.
Mm-hmm.
Tina Ebanks, McBean, Deputy Chief of Administration. Did I get it right that time?
Yes, you did.
As we talk about fire prevention and inspections and the notion that sometimes we take for granted when we go into a space, what happens? We may somewhat consciously look at the space and go, church or an assembly or a stadium or a restaurant, there's a little placard somewhere, maximum occupancy. Some of us look for it, some of us don't. In talking about the fire prevention inspections, as simple and innocuous as that may seem, Ms. Tiffany, is that important and why? You have a stadium, 100,000 people. You have a restaurant, maximum capacity, 250. Is that important? Or a church hall?
It's very important to the church hall, to the stadium, to your own home.
Jump to your own home.
To your own home.
Wow. And many people wouldn't think that, well, listen, my house, I can have how many people I want. Not just the bedrooms, but you having a party.
Correct.
You got them all crammed into the kitchen and everybody's... Why is that important? I mean, it seems simple enough, but maybe we take it for granted.
So it's in the wording, fire safety,
Okay.
So it is important to, keep occupants safe, to know what you need to do in the event of an emergency. So just as simple as having a smoke detector to aware people within the unit, or just a fire extinguisher just in case.
And, I was referencing just prior, and it's not to talk at the school, but to emphasize, two of your colleagues were on just before Christmas, and they did a fantastic job. Just to watch their competence and their confidence, but it was inspiring that they spoke so easily, but with such authority, but they weren't, condemning, they were trying to encourage us. are you sensible in how to use your fire extinguishers? Yeah, well, we think we know, but do we? I want to just revisit that idea of the occupancy. And in preparing for a discussion, I went with a friend to look at, just casually, some of his businesses, so to speak, or businesses he associated with, and trying to impress on staff, don't block the stairwell, don't block the exit, please don't put this in the hallway. And he's constantly, from the mop bucket, they just leave there. They're doing their jobs to the unloading where they put a box down. He said, I want to use the word he used because some people might think it's inappropriate, but he says almost as if they think he's been a bad guy by constantly reminding him. Now, he showed me an example. He said, look here, this is every day. I know the guy's got a door ajar, he's coming in and out, but the box he can trip over. Just him coming in and out. Simple things that we don't see until maybe there's a fire, emergency.
And you also need to take into account doors that are locked. They are locked to separate the fire. Also, in some instances, depending on the type occupancy, so that becomes a fire barrier with fire ratings. So, in normal residential structures, you normally have half an hour to an hour rating on the bedroom doors and stuff like that. So, with you leaving them constantly cocked open, it poses a risk.
From the smoke, but also the actual flames getting into the space.
Flames and smoke.
Yeah. And again, we take it for granted back to our homes. Sadly, we've seen many times, and unfortunately, over holidays where, there's a fire somewhere, and, how kindly can I put it? The people there don't survive.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we need to prevent that. But in speaking to locked doors, he also showed me a business where they would lock the door, presumably for safety reasons in terms of people coming and going, but then it's unsafe and trying to make it safe. Are there doors, whether exit doors or otherwise, that are locked that shouldn't be during the business operation? He showed me photos of places where, as part of their little business group, they're actually padlocked, there are chains on them, and people can't get in and out. Is that something that happens? Are we aware of on a regular basis? If it does, what we can do to ensure that the business isn't burgled and but by the same time, the customers and the staff, should something happen that they need to get out quickly, they can't.
So the code does say that once operational, during operational hours, that should remain free. So it shouldn't be padlocked, shouldn't be chained. So it should be free to open. We understand the safety concerns, so they do have a panic bar that opens from the inside and not from the outside, so people from the outside can't get in if needed. But if it's the front entrance door, it should be automatically and free flowing.
Yeah. And he even showed me a school. I'm not trying to call it anybody, but just trying to remind us that little things that we do that we think we're being sensible from one perspective, but creating potential a health or a safety risk on the other. Even at school, he had a discussion with him and said, listen, you can't lock this door. It's at the end of the hallway. Why are you padlocking the door? Now, I'm hopeful that through our discussion today in our businesses, in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, in our restaurants, that we will revisit and look at these spaces and ask. That brings us to your role as sort of not as fire prevention but fire service. We inspect things. I mean, my dad used to inspect my shoes and make sure they were polished. They were. But we inspect things. You guys have an inspection role, and what does that entail? Why is that important? What do we do to pass, and how do we fail?
So a part of the fire service, we do have a fire prevention unit, which consists of the inspectors. So you can reach out to the department, and we will come and inspect, do a risk assessment, kind of advise you, navigate you through everything, letting you know. And then if everything is good, we issue a fire pass, which says that you're valid for a year. Because a lot of people don't understand that, say you have your home and you buy your fire extinguishers, it's just, you're done. No, you have to service it annually. So everything you have, your smoke detectors, you have to make sure it's serviced annually.
And even, I'm not unaware that I'm jumping, but I think too many times we not just conflate and we mix it up, right? So in your house, for instance, or in your business, whether you are the resident or the owner or whatever in that house, or you the business owner or employee, you occupying a space for an extended period of time.
Correct.
Whether you sleep, whether you're working, or you're asleep at work. I mean, that happens too. And when we come back from the break, can we talk about the importance of how we navigate the space from the fire extinguisher getting it serviced regularly?
Yes.
Do we even check it to make sure it's working? I mean, now and again, we probably should check our indicators in the car and check the oil. What about inspections in businesses as part of maybe the renewal, not just the planning application and approval for the CEO, but just ongoing inspections? Do they happen? And are there, I don't know, spot inspections? And can we talk about some of those things?
Yes, definitely.
All right, well, this is about educating and informing. This is not just about empowering, but ensuring that we are safe, because sometimes we don't know. We think we do. Trust me, we always don't. Join us right after the break.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kim and Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And for the Cayman Fire Service, we have Ms. Tina Ebanks, Mike Bean, Deputy Chief Admin,
Yes, sir.
and our colleague, Senior Manager, Ms. Tiffany Ebanks. As we look at fire prevention and fire safety, I think many times if we go back to the home, the parent is helping the child, you want to be safe, teach them. But there are many times when we, as we are adults, as we go about our business, whether it's the chef in the restaurant, whether it's the employee in the storeroom, we just go about it and we ignore sometimes, take it for granted. So I want, through you, for us to be reminded of the importance that prevention, what I say, is better than a cure, right?
That's true.
All right. Well, with that in mind, well, before I ask the questions, anything else, Ms. Tiffany, that you would want to share and help us to navigate this discussion?
Well, today our primary inspiration for this fire safety and well-being is the well-being of the public.
Mm-hmm.
So like public buildings, and we see high traffic, making it more vulnerable for fire-related incidents. So this initiative is ensuring that spaces are compliant with the fire safety regulations, and it safeguards lives and the property.
Okay.
So our initiative is to reach out to the public and advise them, work with us, and we're going to be starting some public occupancy inspections.
All right. Deputy Chief,
So when
if I respectful act, just come a little closer to that microphone.
Okay.
I like you closer to me. Yeah. Make me look.
Okay, with what station manager Ebanks said, this campaign is being launched to reach out and inform the public occupancies, businesses on the inspection processes, and to let them know that, you know, we will be out in the community requesting inspections of premises, but feel free to call the fire service on 949-2499 and ask for the fire prevention unit, and you can request an inspection there, or you can reach out to fire safety inspections at gov.ky to request your inspections. During this time, we'll highlight egress, extinguishers, and any other. We can do what is it called again? The courtesy inspections to give you some guidance on what you should be doing, because I know it's been, you know, it's not as consistent as normal tourism occupancies that we do every year, or our liquor license properties, our schools, but these inspections should be done on an annual basis. So we want to get out there and ensure all our occupancies are safe.
Deputy Chief, from that perspective, you said these inspections should be done on an annual basis. Is that, for those of us who look at it from that perspective, is that the owner or the managers or the employees doing it on their own? Is it part and parcel of business renewal or that sort of regulatory process? Or
so for there's, I'm not quite sure the requirement on the trade and business side.
Right.
I don't know if they require our certificate to reissue a business license, but for us, we work with the fire prevention code, the 1997 version, and the fire brigade law, and it refers us to NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association, and they have different timelines for inspection as it relates to your fire extinguishers, your fire sprinkler systems, the fire alarm systems, any system that is tied to fire protection.
Yeah.
And part of the inspection would be a requirement of the business owner. But then annually we would be required to inspect the premises and
ensure compliance.
Ensure compliance, but some of the things aren't as scripted as maybe storage.
Yeah.
So we look at a vast variety of areas for safety.
Deputy Chief, as you shared, I'll think back to, you know, working with Mr. Nixon when the then sort of, you know, what do we call it? That building code that we're looking at, and Mr. Nixon, as Chief Fire Officer, was saying, our fire, you know, code is robust. If we do anything less than what we have now, we're gonna bring it down. He wanted to elevate it. So, Station Manager, with that in mind, we reference public occupancies. And I know we spoke of it, but for some of us, we mightn't quite appreciate, you know, what constitutes a public occupancy. Would you help us with that?
So a public occupancy is any building where the public can go to, as it said. So that's schools, that is restaurants, that is this facility right here.
Yes.
So
office buildings,
retail stores,
stadiums. What about parks and the like? I mean, we can see that kind of wide open, but sometimes maybe a bit of a reach, but sometimes parks are fenced, right? There's an event at the park.
There is requirements as it relates to that. Normally, people just say the carnival is coming.
Yes.
If it's a function.
They'll reach out to the fire service and we'll give advice, and then there's multiple inspections that are conducted by the fire prevention team and also the domestic crew, because they need to give sufficient access into the property in the event of an emergency.
Right.
So those inspections become joint with fire prevention and our crew that would respond to incidents.
Yeah. And I ask that because sometimes, again, we just go casually, we assume, and part of what I shared about preparing for today's discussion, there are some people, just like when you go on Cayman Airways, everybody's plane, they point out the emergency exits. And I don't want to get off at 30,000 feet, but nonetheless, you're good to know where they are, right? But he, specifically going into any space, looks for the emergency exits.
Right.
I want to emphasize that to ask us as the public at some point, what can we do to make sure that we're, sort of have greater situational awareness. Now, public occupancies aside, Station Man, you referenced the idea of private homes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some things that we can borrow to make a home safer. Is that doorway being blocked without even thinking about it? Is it being blocked inadvertently because we're leaning something up to it that could fall? So that fire safety also extends to our homes relative to, it's not just a party, but we got people over, house guests constantly, and it's a good fun, but maybe too many people in the space.
Yeah,
correct. And as we are, like you said, we are vast.
Yeah.
So even if it's your private home and you just want, hey, reach out to the fire department, say, could you just do an assessment and tell me what I could do to make it safer, or give me some tips, we are happy to help.
Okay. Deputy Chief did reference the courtesy inspections.
Correct.
Not there to berate people and fine them and stuff. You want to help them. What sort of information, whether it's a private home or the business, those tips would look like? Once they reach out, was it 949-2499?
Yes.
Or the email is referenced. What sort of things would they come up with, either as the homeowner or the business, that could help them to make it safer from fire prevention?
So one of our biggest issues is the thought that fire safety is a one-time thing, meaning it's freshly built, you have all the safety equipment, but it's a constant annually development. You have to maintain your fire safety equipment for it to actually work in the event of a emergency. So that would be one of the giveaways, letting them know, okay, your extinguishers need to be serviced. So when we do an inspection, we ask for records of the maintenance of these safety equipments. We do assessments, we do walkthrough, check for any fire hazards, and we would give you that information and provide you with documentation so you can do the corrective actions to get this corrected.
All right.
So looking on it holistically, if I was to come to your home and I do a quick walkthrough, I would tell you every single sleeping room should have a smoke detector. Most older homes don't have it because it wasn't a requirement at first, but it changed over the years. So we're looking at smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, and egress, and any debris accumulation that could cause fire. We look at overloaded circuits, improper use of electrical cords, stuff like that.
Yeah. And maybe another time, another segment, we can talk about that with respect to building and planning rather others. But maybe we, the homeowner, the business owner, or even the manager or the employee, could help some of those things. So what are we doing? Not just asking for that courtesy inspection, not just the annual, but what can we do as we look at our space? This building, for instance, we know we have multiple exits on different levels, but there are probably times when we create an impediment, just inadvertently. So we need to consciously, keep the aisles clear in the Cayman Airways flight. Maybe keep the corridors, keep the doors accessible.
Yeah,
right.
And I would say to that also, you all should have a fire marshal in place.
Okay.
You should have a fire plan, an evacuation plan. You should know where your muster points are, and an individual, depending on the size of the building, should be responsible to ensure that, okay, today we're supposed to have 12 people at work, but only 10 came into work, and they're accountable. So when we arrive on scene, was everybody accounted for? If not, who wasn't accounted for? Where in the building do they work? So fire service knows that this is the first area they need to start doing checks with.
Yeah. I'll ask you to guide me in saying this because, again, sort of preparing and went around to businesses. There are some people who use that as a way to check, control, and sort of micromanage. Then there are others who do it. No, I actually want you so you be safe. I know you're at work or where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the individual approach. How can we then, make sure that whatever they sign in and out, some people use it as control. I mean, going from one part of the building to the next. You can see them now. They just got that power.
I think you can request for us to come by and have a safety briefing as it relates to fire wardens and the purpose of doing certain things as it relates to that aspect of fire safety. And I would just say continue to echo it. Whoever for this building, you might have at least 2 people, Tiffany.
That was the other question. Is it like?
So we do provide a free service of a fire warden training and fire safety extinguisher training.
Yeah.
So that's something that we do teach. So if that's something a business is interested in, so they can know, what's the ratio of fire marshals should be on the floor, what are your responsibilities. We have that training available for you.
It's not just a title, there's a sense of responsibility. And that skill that you get, I think is transferable, not both in your job but your personal life as well.
Correct.
And many places, getting that is a little bit more difficult than in Cayman. It costs a lot more. We have it already from people like yourselves who are competent, but who also are committed to making sure we get it. Yet, I don't know if we avail ourselves of it.
And I say with that, they can reach out by email on cifstraining@gov.ky to request the fire extinguisher training and the fire marshal training.
Right.
And then, the fire prevention unit will support them if needed in conducting an actual fire drill. And then they give some pointers at the end of the fire drill. This is what should have happened and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a good point, because sometimes as staff, whether we're the person conducting it, whether we're the employee, we see it as an inconvenience. We don't take it seriously. We know it's a drill. We go there, and how do we then make sure that we understand that this is, yes, a drill, you plan for this time, but then if something really was unfolding, then you're not going to be as prepared.
right.
How do we make sure that thing that we do, we benefit from it and understand the importance of it? It's not just a couple of hours out of your day or minutes to inconvenience you and your clients.
So I guess the key to anything is practice,
Practice?
right? So that's what she was suggesting, the fire drills. So we suggest doing a fire drill. And I think once you have a fire plan in place, a lot of times, you'll have a fire plan, but do your staff know? Do the family know what is the plan? So practicing this plan and put it in action, see where the flaws are, see what you could do better to make this better is the best action. So practice.
Like a football match, you're executing a play by practicing.
Correct.
Those are, Deputy Chief, those muster points that you reference. We see increasingly, right here in the government building, in the parking lot of the buildings, muster points. Some people know what it is. How important is that? And muster point A, muster point B, or group?
Okay, so the muster points, you depending on the size of the organization, but let's use the government building as an example. Say the 5th floor is required to all meet up at muster point A. So we will be looking for the staff that's supposed to be there at muster point A. And the person reporting, the fire marshal, might say, okay, Tiffany isn't accounted for. But then we find Tiffany chit-chatting at muster point C. Like we highly disagree with mixing. If you are assigned to a certain muster point, it's for accountability. So we know all are out, because then we're going to put the fire service into that building looking for that individual when really they have exited the building. But because they didn't report to the muster point that they were assigned to, it becomes a problem.
Right. So you're putting not just the fire officers at risk, you're wasting time and valuable resources. What about, that's the employees, but what about, others, visitors to the building? If they've come in, the building has, in that muster point, 10 employees that report there. that particular department or office or whatever has had 3 customers, 3 clients, 3 visitors, do they all then proceed and assemble to be accounted for, or you know what, Deputy Chief, Station Manager?
So I would say the key to that is the plan. So if you had a plan, a fire evac plan in place, or just an emergency plan, and you know what is your routine. If the fire alarm went off, our routine is to evacuate and go to this assigned mustered point.
Okay.
So if you have occupants within your within the building, and you carry them with you, advise them, it's a fire drill, I need to account. Or even if you know everyone is out, if you have that fire marshal responsibility, we had 5 customers, they left. They're all accounted for, but you can now give the fire department that information saying, you know, the customers is all evacuated and all staff are accounted for.
And a part of the evacuation plan also gives responsibility to marshals to check restrooms, storerooms, check all areas that are freely accessible to people, and they would say all areas checked, no one else in the building.
I got another individual, I got permission to share an example and wanted to ask you so the public we can kind of, within this organization, a person volunteered to be the fire marshal. Presumably did some training, but a couple of things happened, one during a drill and one during was a false alarm, so I mean tripped and whichever. Doing the drill, all gung-ho and doing this thing. The same individual was the first to bolt. I mean, just took off. Is that when we selecting or accepting the appointment or the volunteering of a fire marshal, are there particular things that we need to look for? I mean, the captain goes on with his ship. Your daddy is the last person who's going to leave and make sure everybody is okay. This fella, I mean, he hightailed it out of there.
You can't really tell unless they tell you that, you know, in instances of emergency, they'll freak out and run.
Right.
You can really assess that. I mean, if you found that out during a drill or an incident, I would say quick as possible, select another individual that believes they're up to task.
Yeah. And I see that as an analogy. You go on Cayman Airways, you're seated in the emergency exit, they come check you, hey, are you okay with this? They tell you, you know, these may be some of the things you'll be called upon. Some people say, oh, you know, prepared for this. Some people say, no, didn't that a little too much, put me somewhere else. So in that selection, maybe we need to ask the person,
are you willing?
Yeah.
Just like, I would say the procedures is a big thing. So the good thing is if, you know, you're letting your staff know, you're giving them the procedures, even if that person hightail out, you know the procedures. So you can continue. You know if the alarm goes off, you evacuate.
All right. We're going to final break. Let's take that. And please, when you return, not only is an invitation to come back as often, but let's continue discussion. Share with us a fire prevention. You know, your life is worth it, so we want you to be safe. Join us after the break.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Hi, I'm Deputy Governor Franz Manderson, and I'm excited to announce the DG's 5K Challenge is just around the corner. We kick off things in Little Cayman on March 9th, followed by Cayman Brac on March 16th, and the grand finale on Grand Cayman on March 30th. This year, we're supporting the Cayman Islands Girls Brigade, the Cayman Islands Scouts Association, and the One-to-One Foundation, each helping to shape our next generation. Join us in making a positive impact. For registration details, find us on Facebook at DG's 5K Challenge.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to the fire service and to the deputy chief and the station manager, both for sharing with us. Hoping that as we kind of leave this discussion, that it's a building block, that we reach out, get that training, that we reevaluate us who are fire marshals within our organizations, we who live and occupy a home, from the parents to the children to the roommates, that we look at it from a safety perspective. With respect to deputy chief, station manager, this is, as you shared, an ongoing process, not one and done. You didn't get your certificate and all good. From looking after your personal sort of, fire extinguisher that you may have in your home to that fire suppression system in your office or your commercial premises. What more can you tell us to make sure that it's working? We know to work it. We get it inspected. Just like we hopefully maintain everything else.
So as we said, you can always reach out to us, but if you want to maintain it, so when it comes to your fire safety equipment, just reach out to the local service company, find out, what's the best maintenance plan for these equipments to ensure their safety. We do recommend, annual maintenance on your extinguishers, the fire alarm system, anything within your building.
All right. When I was, going with my friend to look at the businesses and looking at fire, wasn't planned, it just happened to be part of. Then I told them about this discussion. They were testing some of their fire extinguishers. Now, is it a way to test it without, I call it dispensing, getting the stuff out of it to see that it's working, or can you test it to make sure it's working without discharging the fire extinguisher?
So if you look at an extinguisher, you should see a dial indicator on the top of it, and it'll show that it's pressurized.
Okay.
So if you disperse the chemical inside, the extinguisher is no more good. Unfortunately, you can't test it by physically using it. So you would look at the pressure. You can look at the bottle. You can, what we do is advise to kind of turn it and twist it so that, the powder inside isn't compact. And then once the pressure is good, that's how you can tell. But a yearly inspection must be met on the fire extinguishers. So you have companies that would come in, check, insure, and they would tag and certify that extinguisher to confirm that it is functioning.
And just to add to that, as the business owner, you should have someone responsible for going around on a monthly basis doing visual checks and recording that information. Okay, the seal is intact, it isn't broken, the gauge is at the correct pressure, there's no damage, like it didn't drop and hit something and got bent, and like she said, shaking the extinguisher up and down to make sure that the chemical inside is still moving and not hardened or anything like that, and those should be recorded by the business owner, and then annually you should be requesting a servicing company to come in and check your extinguishers, your fire alarm system, sprinkler, fire pump, smoke detectors, whatever your business has that relates to fire protection.
And we recognize that certain of the chemicals, or you tell me whatever's inside the fire extinguisher, is dependent on the fire that you want to extinguish. So having the right fire extinguisher for the type of fire, the electrical fire, versus just a flame, versus from the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's a difference, right?
Yep.
All right, and those inspections and maintenance would help us to do that. One of the final things we want to ask, some of us, we want it, we get it checked, but we put the fire extinguisher out of sight. Put it in the cabinet somewhere because it's unsightly. Or we put it in the countertop just in case, so it's not affixed to the wall. Are there any particular things that we should do relative to storing and securing the fire extinguishers, or once it's working and you put it there? I'm just curious.
So the code does says it has to be visible. So
Mhm.
it should be visible and easy accessible.
Okay.
The code specifies that it shouldn't be more than 5 feet or 4 inches off the ground. So any place in between that space.
Mhm.
And we do recommend at least a minimum of 10 feet away from the kitchen. So it's recommended to also put it maybe by the exit, because just in case the fire is not, you can't handle the fire with the extinguisher, is too big, you're by an exit that you can evacuate.
Okay. Little things, again, we've done all of it, but put it in the cabinet at the house because it's out of the way. I mean, I've seen where we put it sometimes, and even me, I'm like, nah, that's not the place to put it. Yeah, put it be it here, or hang it up. So have it visible, accessible, but at the same time, maybe work so that it's not,
In your egress area also.
Okay.
Because you don't want to put it in your bathroom, have to run from the fire to your bathroom to get it, and not on your way out. So it should be somewhere where it's easily accessible for you to exit the building.
Okay, and not to belabor, but thinking back to maybe restaurants or even your personal home, your kitchen. Sometimes you want it right there close to the stove because that'll be like fire could be. Or is it any sort of particular requirements that is not too close, or it has to be in terms of in kitchens or possible fire zones?
The code says 10 feet away.
Yeah, you just,
Yeah.
And in a lot of kitchens, they have a fire suppression system in the hood also for the larger restaurants. So that is part of the suppression mechanism. But before that has to reach a certain temperature before that blows off, and it's very costly to refill that system and put it back in operation. So it's recommended that they do have the K-class fire extinguishers at the required distance from the cooking appliances, so they can use that as the first attack on that fire.
Well, thank you, not just for what you do again, but for coming in and going forward on whether it's fire safety or anything else. You don't need to ask twice. Let us know. As we wrap up our discussion, first to you, Station Manager, anything you want to recap, remind us, or even just share outright, and then to Deputy Chief.
Just a reminder that the fire department will be asking, all public occupancy people to, work with us. We're doing a new initiative where we're coming out, we're doing annual inspections. So we'll be reaching out, requesting these inspections and, giving you courtesies and advising you of any safety hazards that we find.
All right. Deputy Chief?
Echoing the same thing on the campaign is just so we can have a safer community. So we're doing this outreach, and we just ask that companies, businesses, business owners work with us to assess their building to have a safer occupancy.
Yeah. For you personally, your staff, who knows, your family,
Right.
your employees and their families, but also your customers. Thank you all very much. I felt like I learned something once again. See that?
Thank you too.
You can even teach me SBS things. We're going to pause and take a break, but you have a wonderful, safe, and very productive week.
All right. Thank you too.
Thank you.
Join us after the break.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
The Elections Office says it's gotten multiple reports of individuals visiting homes in various districts falsely claiming to be employees of the Elections Office and conducting political surveys. The Elections Office does not do door-to-door surveys, and genuine election staff are always identifiable by their official identification. Canvassing or surveying for information about voting preferences is not illegal. However, falsely claiming to be from the Elections Office is a crime. The share price in tech firm Nvidia has had a small rebound as U.S. stock markets opened this morning, while other stocks stabilized. On Monday, Nvidia, leading U.S. chip firm for artificial intelligence, suffered the biggest single-day loss in U.S. market history. The emergence of a Chinese AI app, DeepSeek, caused tech-focused shares in the U.S. to fall. They also fell in Japan today. And U.S. President Donald Trump will pause U.S. government grants, loans, and other federal assistance later today, according to leaked memos verified by CBS News. It's not clear yet which programs will be affected, but the pause could impact programs worth trillions of dollars. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter. Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. In late 1945, Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts and his brothers formed Tibbett Brothers to build a cargo ship for trading in the Caribbean, which they named TB Radar, launched on August 20th, 1946. Keith supervised the construction, which was the first ship launched on Cayman Brac with the engine already installed. Keith also supervised the building of a second ship the following year, the MV Sonar, which launched on September 9th, 1947. After operating the ships for a few years, the brothers sold them both. Years later, he built and launched the MV Trial on 3rd of January 1967. In 1951, he joined the Trinidad Shipping Company for a year and a half before coming back to Cayman Brac in 1952 to join the ranks of Caymanians who were shipping out to global ports with national bulk carriers. Even though, unlike most of his fellow seamen, he spent merely a year on the ocean before turning his sights towards the promised land on shore. One of his personally created catboats was on display in the Kensington Museum in London for many years, a shining example of his pride of craftsmanship and excellence. This was part 4 of his special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. And some of us, today is our Monday. I want to congratulate all who were nominated or who received, their awards yesterday at the Heroes Day celebration. Maybe one day we'll name that properly, but that's a different story. And to Mario Rankin. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, man.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me, and good afternoon to all the Radio Cayman loyal listeners.
I shared what I shared just then with a hope that we will be heroic in what we share, from the perspective that there's a sense of humility and that we're not seeking praise for anything and doing properly, but also courageous. So heroes are courageous people. We just had 2 fantastic fire officers.
I was listening.
Yeah. Most of us see a fire, we run away from it,
Naturally.
They run into it. Not because the huge pay that they get.
No.
Okay? Not because they have this adrenaline rush. They have that courage. They're going to come in there to rescue us, whether it's us, the cat, or us, the baby.
Yeah, and I'll just say, to add to that, is that to be a member of the fire service, you got to be a special person.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this because I applied to work at the fire service, and I knew that I was claustrophobic, but I didn't know that I was that bad. And I remember down at the training ground, which is at the end of the runway.
Yeah.
They had these tunnels, kind of makeshift tunnels.
Yeah.
Now mine, you had access where you can just lift the top and come out if something happened. But you had to crawl through that with a whole BA suit on and mask and tank, and it was pitch black. Let me tell you, that was the beginning and the end of my fire career that day. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And anybody else who did it, I held them in high regard.
Thank you for sharing that, because some of us don't appreciate. You have the courage to even share that, right?
Yeah.
You need to do an MRI. Glad that we got MRIs that we can do. Glad that we can afford and all that. But even that, some of us have a challenge.
Even that's a challenge for me.
Okay? You imagine some of them, they're training, whether it's, a breathing apparatus reference, but pulling the hoses, right? The work that they do. I find it, and you guide me, I find it so offensive that we have people in this country to make disparaging, disrespectful remarks about our fire officers, right? I hold them in the highest regard, not just because they're family and friends, but because I understand what they do. And like you said, many of us can't do it. We won't do it, but we can't do it.
Yeah, it's, again, as I mentioned, the people who are in the fire service who have passed those tests are special people.
Yeah,
you
man.
can count on that. I can tell you, I've been on that training ground. Believe me. Anybody who passed that exercise is special people, and they deserve an award even for just getting through that, in my opinion.
There you go, man. So, but thank you. And that sort of sets the stage, is that they go about their jobs. They're not looking in a fanfare.
Nah.
Right?
No.
I recognize that the ambulance drivers, when they're not, whether getting back to the hospital or responding, they drive very carefully. But our fire officers, when they're in that big truck, as huge as that thing is, look at how respectful they are in proceeding, right? But by the same token, they're mindful of where they are, what they're in, but the way they do it. That whether police or otherwise, could take a page from the way they sort of proceed, to our response.
Yeah, no, we can all acknowledge that we have a remarkable fire service, and they provide a top-notch service to the community, and certainly if there's anybody who have or lacking respect for that department, then clearly they have some issues that need to sort out.
I think in the days of Mr. Nixon and Mr. Grant and Mr. Martinez and others, right, you see what they said. So now, the team there can continue to raise the bar because they had good examples to follow.
Yeah.
The competence, the commitment, but that level of humility, man. So they would say, for what it's worth, man, just accept thanks.
Yeah. No, I agreed. So what I will say is that over the weekend, over the long weekend, again, congratulations to all of our national heroes and everybody who got the awards. I saw, quite a bit of people who got them through social media and other platforms. So I'm like I said, I extend my congratulations to all those people who was awarded, and the families, and a lot of family members who were receiving on behalf of those who have passed on. So again, it's one of those. At least we take that time once a year, we celebrate it as a holiday, and we honor our people. And I think that's an important earmark in our year, on our calendar anyway. So. But during that time, I was posting. I was actually in town on the Heroes Day of the parade, and I was coming through. I stopped at Cayman Cabana, got some canned saltfish and stuff, some good food, something that you rarely get. Excuse me. And I drove through town, and that's when I had observed what I did, and I recorded it. And I posted it, and of course it caused a firestorm of comments and different things and whatnot. But what I would like to say on the onset of this conversation before we go any further, because I don't particularly like pointing fingers or calling, playing the blame game and whatnot. But sometimes you have to do it. You have to draw a line in the sand, and you have to do it, because otherwise these things will continue to take place, and then it will become at the detriment of the overall community and the island on a whole. So what I will say in the onset, just so we can draw a comparison. Now, there's a lot of conversation about building a pier, building a dock, building a cargo, and all these different things. And I'm sure everybody have their opinion based on whatever information they have gathered for themselves, right? But what I will say is this, which are all facts. Let me just say this, so we can put a hard stop to the conversation as to whether we should or we shouldn't. Now, 60% of all revenue generated in the cruise industry comes from the Caribbean. Every single, and these are statistical facts, they can go and look them up anywhere they choose to look. Every single island in the Caribbean that is on the itinerary, whether it's the Eastern Caribbean, the Central Caribbean, or the West Caribbean, okay? Every single island is just as important as the other island. Yes, there are some variations in experiences. Some islands have a crime problem, some don't. Some islands have mountains and waterfalls and beautiful beaches, some don't. Right? Every island is unique to itself. Every island has its special offerings in which accommodate the cruise passengers that come here. Okay? Now, 60% of the revenue that's generated entirely comes from the Caribbean. Let's look at our sector, and we can only focus on our sector. We can't compare ourselves, and we need to stop saying, oh, well, other Caribbean islands are doubling in their tourists and blah, 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 and all this other stuff, comparing it to Cayman. 20% of the revenue generated annually in the tourism sector on a whole comes from cruise. The other 80% comes from stay over. Now, if we had to ask the question, if we were forced into a decision-making position, which sector would you choose to carry on if we had to choose one? Would you choose the stay over, or would you choose the cruise? Now, I'm not saying that we should be making a choice. I am just simply saying is that if we were forced in a corner or in a position where we had to make a choice, how many people would choose the cruise industry over the stay over industry? How many people? Because if we're basing it on numbers and economics and what works, that would be a clear no-brainer on what sector we would choose. Not to mention that sector that we're choosing only bringing in 20% of the headcount annually. That's less strain on the infrastructure as well. So for us to have an argument amongst each other whether we should build a cruise port or not, because the angle that has been taken more times than I would like to admit was that we need a new cargo port. And I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with the fact that cargo and cruise shouldn't coexist. On this particular video that I posted over the weekend, it had a nice traction. A lot of people saw it. A lot of people understood what took place. I did a video. I didn't pay movie extras to go in town. I didn't pay the cruise passengers to not walk on the south side of Hawkseye Bay. It was a raw video taken from my truck. I may get in trouble for using my phone while driving, but I'll take that ticket. But again, at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. Me and your opinion may be different, but we all have to share the same facts. So I was attacked by two individuals. I won't call any names because this radio came on and I got a lot of respect for Radio Cayman. I won't call a name, but one of the individuals is a former employee at the port, somebody who I thought would have known better. But instead of addressing the issue that I pointed out, they chose to attack me, which is fine because I'm used to that at this point. Oh, well, since Mario posted this video, then where would he suggests we park the buses. Well, I suggested we park the buses on the tore down parking lot behind Wholesome Bakery where the tower building used to be, where we have now conveniently shifted the craft market from Moringa Town Road all the way on this end. And the reason why we done that is because we had strategically closed down the north and the south terminal, knowing that foot traffic wouldn't be in that area, so that the craft marketers wouldn't have that foot traffic of business. So that's why we relocated them in the parking lot on the tents behind Wholesome Bakery. And then we got buses and taxis parked on our cargo port. He even alluded to the fact that I suggested that we should have cargo activity going on while cruise was going on, which is not what I said. And I'm just simply saying is that we couldn't, even if we had an emergency where we needed a ship to come in for an emergency reason, we wouldn't be able to do it because we've allowed buses and tour buses and taxis and all these people to go on our port. So he missed the whole point, and I get it. And then, of course, you know, I do my very best to just say, hey, look, you know, please tell me what the carrying capacity is in the Cayman Islands. What is the carrying capacity? Of course, now one of the other individuals ventured into trying to take a little shot in the dark about, about 15 to 20,000 is what we can carry. Really? Where he got those numbers from? Where is the comprehensive study that weighed in on all of the aspects of 25,000 people being on our shore on one day? Where is that study, my good friend, that suggested that those were the numbers?
As I listen to you, a couple of things come to mind, and if you don't mind, I liken your actions, your efforts to the heroes in terms of you have courage. You try to say what you say from an informed perspective. People, as you say, the beat job for it, but you self-correct or you take the licks, right? I think we need more people with a willingness. I'll read something after the break as someone shared in relation to, too many of us not having that level of courage, right? But it's a simple comment. Why I put that as a sort of the premise that 80% from the stayover versus the 20%. Obviously, should be a no-brainer what you would pick. But I'm questioning back to what you shared, the carrying capacity as well as the infrastructure. I wonder to what extent, again, just speaking to the cruise versus the stayover, having a lot, architecture talks about less is more, having a lot of people at one time on something, the pressures that put, is that affecting the quality of the experience for everybody? The stayover, the cruise, but the rest of us, and impacting it in a negative way where nobody comes away happy and everybody's disgruntled and everything, the next thing you know, nobody wants anything. So is that something that we're not just quantifying, but we're deliberately ignoring the potential impact?
Well, the one of the key factors is that I think that most people base their decisions on dollars and cents, based on how many people come per head and how many people come per tour and all of those things. Now remember, if we took a good look at the Falmouth facility in Jamaica, right, compared to the Royal Watler, there are probably one or two very subtle differences in it. And that is that we have chain link fence as opposed to a brick wall. We have less security as opposed to having a full-fledged prison-like security. And all of the upland development behind the gates are the development and the stores in which are encouraged by the cruise line for the people to stay and tell them that, oh, well, if you go outside the gates, you're going at your own risk. Okay? So are we going to wait for our port to develop that behavior? Or are we going to proactively say, okay, here's a certain example which is right elbow to elbow with us, neighbor. And here's something that we can use as an example of what not to do. This argument about cruise, and let me just make this very clear, abundantly clear, because I asked the two gentlemen this question, which they refused to answer. Where in any marketing portfolio strategy or messaging from any cruise line anywhere in the world that says that we will not go to any island without a cruise berthing facility, where have they published that? Now, they may have had meetings with our government delegation. They may have had conferences with them saying, oh, well, we want a pier, and if you don't build a pier, we're not going to bring our big ships. Now, why the ex-member of the port and the member of the public that made all of these, allegations, why don't they show the public document where our government spent almost $2 million in infrastructure to accommodate tendering the mega Oasis-sized ships, because there was an agreement in place, which I have a copy of, by the way. If you want a copy, I can publish it for you, right? That they had agreed, listen to me good, Royal Caribbean and Carnival Cruise Line, for all of you out there that think that you know everything, okay? Listen very good. Listen good. I have a copy of the document, okay? Carnival and Royal Caribbean had agreed to tender their Oasis-sized ships if we had upgraded our tender service. And let me tell you what, we spent $2 million doing so. We bought these big jet ramps. You know where the ramps are now? Down at CDC. Okay, Portland Road. That's where they are now, being used for God knows whatever. All right? The minute that the one administration got out and another administration got in, and then they started promising that they were going to build a pier, they scratched the idea. They abandoned the agreement. So how is it that now everybody that's on that side of the fence is showing us all of these statistical numbers, and that numbers are declining, and we'll have no cruise if we don't build the piers, and this is what the cruise line said, and the executive from the cruise line said this? Listen, tell that executive to publish a public document on the front page of the Miami Herald that says, we, whatever name of the cruise line, will not go to any island in the Caribbean that don't have a cruise berthing facility. I bet you they can't do that. They can talk to our government privately and scaremonger them into doing that. And then our government come out there with their big chest beating up, but well, this is what they told us. They're not going to come if we don't build this pier. Well, guess what? We going to piers today. You know what size ship out in the harbor right now? I could have seen that ship when I bend the corner on spots. That's how big that ship is. And where she is, out in Georgetown Harbor. And hold on, we got a pier out there. We got a pier?
They built it last night?
They built it this morning, or?
Oh.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah. And a trip to California, I saw one of those very large cruise ships, right? Very much, well, might have been one of the scene was I saw here one time, being tendered, right? You know, with all the naval bases, not in San Diego, but a little further out, right there. I mean, just right offshore, being tendered. The group I was in going, wait a minute. So it can be tendered. It is being tendered. So
I'll say this. You're absolutely right. They will tender the ships.
Yeah.
It's only if their bluff and their scaremongering tactics work on our government, which they wouldn't, because then they would build a pier for them. They wouldn't have to. But think about this, right? If you look at the marketing strategies on any cruise line that has these big ships, they are marketing what they provide on ship. They rarely, if at all, speak about the pre-booked tours, excursions on land, which they also have the lion's share hand into. Now, if we go, hypothetically, let's say we built this pier and we entered into a triple P with one of these or two of these entities, they not only will control that pier, only their ships will be able to dock at it. And it would only be 2 at a time. So where the other 4 ships is, if we got 6 that day, or where the other 3 ships or 2 ships they're going to continue to tender. So if our objectives and our reasons are not to build a pier because we want to eliminate tendering, then why are we are submitting a project that will continue tendering anyway?
Speaking to Mario Rankin, I want to ask again, because you share from an informed perspective, but you share. 2 things. How do a politician say that in relation to the FCC, the Florida Caribbean Cruise, that they act many times in a bullying way? You know, they have a strong executive there, and they move forward to achieve their objectives, which is understandable, no different from any entity that wants a thing. And then secondly, looking at where we are relative to a cruise sort of.
Yeah, and what I'll say is that why would a cruise line not want a pier? You know why? Because they sell a package, which means when their passenger go off the ship, they can get on and off the ship when they get hungry, they get thirsty, they want to take a quick shower or whatever they want to do. They can walk on and off the ship easier. The cruise line wants it to be easier for them to access their ship, to access the things that they provide on the ship.
Yeah.
That don't benefit the Cayman Islands.
So thank you for highlighting that, right? So in this conversation and multiple iterations of it, the destinations, the way the cruise ship can get close and the passenger can come on and off, they found, as you said, that the passenger on and off easily. Bermuda on the front street, I mean, you could probably jump from the lower deck to don't advise it. It is that close. I mean, you can walk across and touch the cruise ship. So it's more money. The cruise line keeps the passenger more, I guess, hostage.
I'll tell you, it's really comical how some people who advocate for this pair and don't know all of the facts as to what are the motivations behind the cruise lines wanting the pair. If you visit any of the islands, and I can tell you, I went to Jamaica, I went to Falmouth, I talked to people on the outside of that gate. And that's when it became abundantly clear to me that under no circumstances should we adopt this sort of thing in Cayman. Because we don't have the resources Jamaica have. We don't have mountains and waterfalls and rivers, and we do not. We have very limited things that we offer here. You understand? And then to further disenfranchise the people who offering those limited things by allowing the cruise lines to dictate where they go, who they spend their money with, and how long they be on shore. Listen, the cruise line is trying to figure out how to make it more convenient for their passengers to stay on their ship longer. We should be on the opposite end of that thing, saying how we can get them off the ship longer so that they can traverse around areas and spend their money a little $10, $15 here and there. We're not encouraging that.
Yeah, and have a better experience.
A way better experience.
Want to come back.
And the first
stay
thing,
longer.
Yes, and the first thing we need to do as a country is to do a comprehensive study to determine how many people a day we can accommodate.
The carrying capacity.
Then we create the best experience possible for that number, and that's what we accommodate to.
Yeah. Mario Rankin sits with us. I want to ask a couple of things, if you remind me. That cargo and cruise,
Yeah.
Somebody,
that's a tricky one.
All right, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Carrying capacity and the idea. Phone lines are open. Let's pause though. Let me take some calls when we come back.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
The Ministry of Planning, Agriculture, Housing, Infrastructure, Transport and Development is pleased to provide the APATH Grant Program to help you thrive. Whether you're interested in pursuing higher education or a career in planning, infrastructure, agriculture, housing, or transport, APATH is designed just for you. Ready to take the leap? Apply today. For more information, please contact APATH Secretariat at 936-6231 or mpahi@gov.ky. APATH, your path to success in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome, Mike, and thank God for not just courage, but for mercy, grace. As I say, love, provision, and protection. But for our country that we work together, hopefully we can find some unity. And thanks to Mario D. Rankin for sharing with us. I keep a saying, but I hope you don't get accused of keeping bad company when you come on my show, right? So
it's the other way around.
If it is, you're a big boy. No. We do have a caller. Before we continue the discussion, let's take the call.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, gents.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. So what we have to deal with in this country, I'm not doing too bad.
All right. That's a good start.
How about you, Mario?
I'm not doing too bad, sir. I'm giving thanks.
Just want to make a few comments, and then if you all want to pick up on it and give me some feedback on it, I'll appreciate that.
Yes.
How many Caymanians are employed by the cruise line? That's one. Why are we losing everything that we have worked so hard for in this country? Number two, does any of you guys have eye problems? Eyesight are good?
Well, yeah. I'll tell you what, a fella told me the other day, he said, boy, his eyes. I said, what happened to the eyes? He said he can't see himself coming to work, but that's about it. My eyes are good.
I challenge. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm a little challenged when I'm reading, so I had to put on some glasses. I hate that minute, but yes.
Okay. My remarks is one of them is about Foley's Dr. Foley clinic, right?
Mm-hmm.
My wife wanted some. She ordered some test contacts. So she asked if I could go in there on Friday to pick them up. So I goes in there, and the reception is some white girl with tattoos. That's the only how I can describe her. I don't know who she is. So I stood there and I wait like I normally do. And I wait patiently. And I wait. She finally got off the phone. And finally she got round to getting to me, and she looked up at me and she said, "Do you have an appointment?" I said, "Excuse me?" I mean, not even a hello or can I help or nothing like that. Do you have an appointment? Right? That's the other one. And the level of disrespect, and I keep bringing this up, and I'm going to take it to my grave if I have to. That office, the Port Authority in Georgetown, right? I don't have nothing against the cruise ships. I don't have nothing against the passengers. I know the passengers, the more they come, the better. But we don't need a dock. All right, my problem is that right in the front of that Port Authority building, they're always parking on the sidewalks. And I'm looking at these poor tourists. They have to squeeze between two cars, right? I mean, why can't we do something about this? And I mean, I've been complaining about this gentleman for months, and nothing is doing about it. But you know what? Let me now go and park on any sidewalk, and you'll see how quick I get a ticket for it. Okay? But on the other topic with the Foley, if anybody else has had any issues with that particular office, I would like for them to speak up and not just think that it's me that is, coming up with, issues and everything else. What I bring to this radio station It's factual. It's nothing false or makeup or nothing about it. These are things that I experienced, gentlemen. So I'll leave that with you all if you want to comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. And well, Mario, with the port and the discussions that we're having relative to, is, well, before I ask anything else, anything you want to maybe just add quickly, because I wanted to kind of.
Well, I mean, I don't really have anything to contribute to the Dr. Foley's thing. Obviously, I've never been in that office. And certainly with people parking on the sidewalk in front of the Port Authority, I would imagine that would be an issue and shouldn't be allowed. So I don't know what authority to call, or I'm assuming Port Authority would be in charge of that.
Right. But even just that issue, not to get off track, but just generally, we see roads from public roads to people parking on or near a road, a level of whether it's inconsideration, insensitivity, or awareness. We're impeding when the fire trucks coming by to you as the garbage collectors trying to get to the garbage can, to you living in a space, whether it's in an apartment or condo complex, or getting to a business or even a subdivision. There's something happening in this country that speaks to, inconsideration, to make it nicely.
Well, I mean, this is what happened when you have 130-something different nationalities in one small little island. You're going to have a lot of different variations of behaviors.
Okay.
And, these are some of the things that we see.
Okay. But to the substantive issue with relative to what the government or the next government, whether we're going to build infrastructure, cruise cargo port, whether we're going to have a referendum on whether we should or not, this is election year. A lot of things going to be good fodder. All right.
Well, I mean, obviously we have a referendum that'll be on the ballot, supposedly. I want to make something very clear so people understand, is that I am in support of cruise tourism, but I am in support of cruise tourism where it makes sense.
Okay.
Where we don't create that pivot in the middle where we deteriorate our overall experience for all of our tourists.
Right.
And for the sake of one sector, and because we want to appease a few business owners that want to make an extra couple dollars, and I don't care how many times you talk to them, they can't size it up or frame it up any other how. Right? That's what it's about, dollars and cents. Oh, we're going to lose crews if we don't build a pier. That's a pile of foolishness.
Okay.
That is not correct.
Yeah.
Okay? And I can guarantee you that if we don't build a pier, we're going to still get crews. Now, do we need to separate cargo and cruise? Absolutely. Cayman have alternative sites that we can entertain and we can talk about. That's a horse of a different color, and that's a discussion for another day. But I do agree that we need to separate the two, because we could use that existing port and enhance the services that we can offer for our disembarking cruise passengers.
Right.
We can get better tender services. We can get better docking facilities where they come in, and you can have a wide range of activities that could happen on that port if we had it solely for cruise.
Yeah.
Right? But we're not talking about that. All you hear is all of these hecklers talking about build a pier, but no one really talking about what it's going to be. Because when we talk about cost of building the pier, not just dollars and cents. We're talking about social economic deterioration. We're talking about all of the different things that we're going to face because we no longer have control over the entire thing. Listen, we can't just willy-nilly go down this road because we got a few people screaming on the left saying, oh, well, we need more tourists or I can how close my business. Okay? Trust me when I tell you, the problem is this, is that one cocoa full basket, and you got too many people who basket overflowing.
Right.
Okay? And that's the problem we have in this particular situation that we facing now. You're not going to find one single tour operator or business owner that benefit from the cruise will ever tell you that you don't need a pier to bring more people. Of course they will, but nobody don't care about deteriorating or compromising the integrity of the experience itself. The irony of the numbers is what's really mind-boggling. 20% of the people that come here annually is responsible for 80% of the revenue that comes from the sector. So 20% of the people that come here on an annual basis stay over. But they are responsible for 80% of the revenue that generated in that sector. So how is it that we're turning the blind eye to the most important sector of all, and absolutely doing everything in our power to ensure that we do not compromise the integrity of that experience?
Yeah. Peter talks about 20% of people do 80% of the work. You're saying, okay.
I mean, it's unbelievable that we to this day still having this conversation when all that information is accessible to everybody who is having the debate on this particular topic.
Okay.
I don't have nothing against crews. I just want to make sure that crews don't destroy our entire product.
So the economic, the social, the environmental, all these things that we're not.
We're not taking these things into consideration. Okay. I don't care what none of them out there that work for the left that says we need to build a pier. Listen, I've been to Mexico. I went to the Cruise Ship Association annual whatever it is they had down there, and I can tell you, I never heard them mention one time that we need to force islands to build a pier or we're not going. I never heard them say that one time.
Okay.
The only thing that whole thing emphasized is what more can we offer to make more money. How many islands are offering 20% less than the other island? We need to get them to offer a little more so we can make more money. That's what that whole conference is about every year, is to make more money.
Yep. All right, let's take this other break, take the calls when we come back. Join us after.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Freedom, Cayman Rock. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments January 27th to February 1st at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Wayne Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com. That's drportercayman@gmail.com. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Experience the soulful fusion of reggae and jazz with Benil Miller and his reggae orchestra at the 2025 Cayman Arts Festival. The multi-talented singer, songwriter and instrumentalist known for his unique blend of roots reggae, modern Caribbean and jazz. Saturday, February 15th at 7 p.m. at the Harkfield Theatre. Tickets are just $40 for adults and $15 for students. Call 922-5550 or email inquiries at CaymanArtsFestival.com for more details.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks to Mario Rankin for sharing with us. And we got another caller. Thanks to the caller for. Hope the caller decided to exit stage left. It happens. All right, well, you can call back if you so choose. Thank you for letting us, get our commercial breaks in. Mario, the idea of a cargo port and a cruise port, there seems to be a sentiment by some that, whether deliberately or otherwise, I'm going to say this, trying to repeat what I've heard recently again. The last time around, the last government, the PPM, wanted you to say, well, boy, you needed this to get that. This time around, the government is saying, in order to get the cruise, you need the cargo. So they're putting the two together. So to get one, you need the other. And making the cargo, you need your lifeline. Is that just an unfortunate perception, misconception? Is it being conflated? Your personal take. And then also, do we need one in order to get the other?
I don't think so. And here's my take on that. What we were doing in 1990.
Okay.
All right. What we were doing in 2000. What we were doing in 2010. What we were doing in 2015.
Okay.
What we're doing today. Now, when you look at those timelines, clearly the population in 1990 isn't what it is today. Or what it was in 2000 isn't what it is today. And so on. Now, if we continue to pretend like we can accommodate both on one pair, then we can continue to do that. But it's not realistic and it's not practical. We've seen where cargo shut down whenever we have cruise. All right? Aggregate that comes in through the port, our food comes through the port, medical supplies. We import everything, right? 90% of it comes by boat. A lot of it comes by air, but not the bulky stuff. You can't bring 10,000 tons of aggregate on a plane, all right? You can't bring 20,000 tons of cement on a plane. These are things that have to come through a cargo port. These are things that are essential to the overall development.
Even some combustible materials that we use for equipment.
Well, you're not bringing in any ISO containers full of diesel and aviation on no plane.
Right.
So I only said that to illustrate that there are some essential goods that have to come through the cargo port that cannot come by air. So therefore, we need to have a compromise. We need to have a very open, candid, honest conversation, because it needs to be moved out of Georgetown Harbor. It needs to be moved elsewhere. Now, I'm not going to go down the tricky path, the sticky situation of where. I mean, I have a few ideas. But again, horse of a different color, discussion for another day. But the facts still remain that I agree that cargo need to come out of town. Now, when we are being advised by anybody from an official capacity, they're making it sound like, oh, well, if we extend this pier out, we'll be able to bring in larger ships and be able to bring in more ships and have access to all these things. But are we really extending the pier to accommodate cargo? Because that's not what we're really doing. Let's just call a spade here. The reason why we are touting on the emotions of people's cargo, this cargo facility, is because we want people to buy into the concept of building a pier, period. And then, since we're building a pier to accommodate cargo and our growing population and the needs of all these things, we might as well just extend it another couple 100 feet and put a cruise ship on it and kill two birds with one stone. That's the argument that is taking place. But yet, all the while, even if we did build a pier that can accommodate 2 cruise ships and a cargo vessel, you still can't operate cargo until the cruise ships disembark. So one won't be able to coexist with the other. It has to be separate and apart from. So what would be the sense of investing? Because here's the initial play. What would be the sense of investing money to extend the cargo pier and then further enough to accommodate a cruise, And then 20 years down the road, we decide to take cargo out of town, and now the crews have the pier independently to itself, which means then we've essentially built a pier for the crews, as opposed to what we really set out to do it for.
Right.
So I'm not tricked by the smoke and mirrors and the misconceptions of what they plan to do. I'm not tricked by that. You understand? Our forefathers knew that the leeward side of the island was the calmest. That has the calmest weather out of the calendar year. You're looking at 240, 250 days out of the. I could be wrong on the numbers, but 90% of the days on Cayman are calm on the lee side of the island. All right. The other side of the islands have a lot of reef barriers and reef protectors, and there's a lot of environmental habitats that are protected. So, you know, for us to strategically move cargo out of town, we have to be sensible. We have to be smart. We have to look at the overall impacts that we would face, and the breakers and all of the quarries that have blown all these holes in our island to generate aggregate for development and for other things. You know, we need to be sensible on how we integrate those things in order to create something that we really need. Because if you look at the site in Breakers, it is the closest point to ocean than any other place, and then on the inside of that basin you got all these big ugly quarry holes that you can join and turn into a basin. These are feasible things that could happen that will have an impact on the environment, yes, but not as much as trying to put it in the North Sound. I know putting it in the North Sound is a whole lovey-dovey idea, because you got, you know, a lot of people don't know that the North Sound is the second largest protected reef natural harbor in the world. It's the second largest in the world. I've tried my best to find anything that was larger than it. There's only one other place. I think it's in China, I'm not sure. But Cayman has the second largest natural safe harbor in the world, which is the North Sound. So as much as everybody want to carve it up and put some cargo and some mega ships in there and all kind of stuff, I understand the benefits of that. But do we need to adjust to become ununique to what we are and who we are? I mean, at the end of the day, we do have the largest shipping registry in the world, and we don't have any real accommodations for mega yachts. I get that. And there are some things that we can do in order to accommodate, but we refuse to do it because everybody want to bite the biggest chunk off and leave the biggest gaping hole ever, and then think that it's going to just fix itself. But that's not the case. You understand? Where is the Caymanian people and the Caymanian brand in translation of all of this progression and development and progress that we claim that we have? You know, I just don't see it. I do not see it.
All right. Let's take the call. Hayes, welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello.
Good afternoon, Sterling and Mario. This is Shirley.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing, Shirley?
Welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for taking my call. I have a few comments that I would like to make based on my own observations and speaking with other people. And in my opinion only, and this is me, this is not on behalf of CPR, I'm just speaking my mind right now. With all the most basic information missing from what should be the actual guide for the electorate to make an informed vote on cruise berthing, the only correct vote I can see on the referendum at this stage would be no. There's no location, no knowledge of who will build, no realistic cost, because we don't even know what kind of construction or where. So the 400 million is obsolete. No knowledge of who will own and control this or any port or berthing facility. There's no guarantee that Caymanians and their companies will even be permitted within the actual facility, or will we be relegated outside the fence like in many other ports? I'm in tourism, so this is a very, very big concern for me. We do not know what else the cruise lines want from us, even though I have asked the Minister of Tourism what else they want from us. For instance, will we sell, lease, or give them the freedom to create their own land amusement park for only their guests, and where we are not welcome, as this seems to be the trend in other ports? nowadays. Additionally, if that happened, we will not be the recipients of money spent. That will go to the cruise lines. So what we do know is that the cruise lines are in the business of making money for themselves. They're not in the business of making money for us. And what we do know is that the referendum question itself can destroy these 3 islands in no time. It scares me that the question is, should the Cayman Islands have cruise berthing infrastructure? That question alone gives our 3 islands away to the highest bidders. That means if we vote yes, anybody could do anything they want and call it cruise berthing infrastructure on any of these 3 islands. Another observation is, and I've spoken to several pro-port persons, they seem to think that people will be able to get off the ship and in a few steps later they'll be in Georgetown. They do not realize how far people will actually have to walk from the ship to land in the hot sun or the rain. So there's no argument that that's going to improve the lines and stuff that we have on land now. So also, if people think that there will be no disruptions to the construction from storms, which will potentially delay the build and add to the cost, where is all this equipment going to go if a nor'wester or a hurricane blows up? Where is it going to go? Up by the post office? With the lack of information that we have as the intelligent electorate in this country, the only vote on that referendum regarding the cruise berthing at this stage is vote no. And I urge every Caymanian voter to seriously consider the implications of their vote. So I thank you for your time, and I will continue to listen to the show.
All right, Ms. Shirley, thank you always for that level-headed, honest, very direct, and respectful way that you share your perspective. Another courageous person. So thanks, Ms. Shirley. All right, Mr. Rankin?
Absolutely. Thank you, Shirley. And I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. And I believe I have a lot of faith in the Caymanian people. I do know that there are a lot more registered voters than tour operators and people who are on the left. And I think that we will do the sensible thing. If history says anything about our character, is that we are ambitious and we're courageous and we're willing to at least do what's right. And I hope that when it goes to the referendum and during the polls, that we just vote this thing down and be done with it.
All right, let's come back after the news and talk more.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market. At approximately 3:45 p.m. on Monday, the Cayman Islands Coast Guard received a report of a vessel in distress in North Sound. The CICG quickly responded and arrived at the location near Stingray City around 4 p.m. They found an overturned vessel and 6 individuals who had been aboard safely on another private vessel called Unstoppable. The 6 persons were safely returned to shore in good health. The CICG then righted the overturned vessel and towed it to Duck Pond Dock, where it was secured. The RCIPS Air Operations Unit was also dispatched to assist with the situation. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in news elsewhere. An Indiana man who was pardoned by U.S. President Donald Trump over the U.S. Capitol riot was killed by police during a traffic stop days later. 42-year-old Matthew Huttle was shot and killed on Sunday when police pulled his vehicle over and he allegedly resisted and ended up in an altercation with an officer. An Indiana State Police statement said it remains unclear what he was being arrested for. And U.S. First Lady Melania Trump's new official portrait has been released. Shot in the White House one day after her husband was sworn in as president, the black and white photo shows her wearing a dark business suit and white shirt as she rests her hands on a reflective table on the yellow Oval Room. The Washington Monument, which towers over the nation's capital, is seen in the background. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and as we speak to Mario Rankin, I say this often. I appreciate those who not only take time to listen and to call and contribute, but who come into the studio and share. You have many ways that you can do that from your own platform. To me, that is not just a demonstration of a healthy democracy, it's absolutely essential. But you also take time to come here, and that is meaningful. It really, really is.
Yeah.
We're looking at, as Ms. Shirley just referenced, a question. Most of us would say, yeah, let's have a cruise. We're not opposed to it, but to her points, who's going to build it? How much is it going to cost? Where is it going to go? Where? All these unanswered questions.
Yeah.
At risk of getting accused of being political with all that going on, is that really the wisest expenditure of money now to have a question? I mean, the question is, do you want to live or die?
Well, I think to Shirley's point, I think the assumption of the methodology and the cost is based on the old framework agreement that they had previously, that we had our petition signed for, because they did have an estimated cost and a build out and all these other things.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that that's what the government has based this entire thing on, which again, to Shirley's point, which is absolutely ridiculous because we don't know.
Right.
And there's nothing in writing, there's no agreement, there's no framework, there's nothing.
Right.
So she's absolutely right in regards to what are we voting on.
Right.
And if, God forbid, we vote yes, and to her point, they can just go and throw up any old dock out there and how they want. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that some money won't be spent to try to get the right possible project. But again, how is that gonna be policed if we don't have anything in writing? We don't have. It is absolutely ridiculous. And then the way the question is phrased is right. And to her point again, is right in regards to what are the what are the implications of agreeing to this.
Right.
So, we can't, and that's why when I listen to these people who are on the left, the pro-porters and the people who supporting, and I've listened to Elio Solomon. I only call his name because he's made himself public as a spokesperson for this initial movement. And the reality is, I can tell you for a fact that Elio didn't go to Mexico to the Cruise Line Association. He didn't go. He didn't go to Falmouth either. So cracking an egg to make an omelet is just not gonna cut it, And these are the sort of analogies that are being used, tighten with the future of our country, and I don't appreciate that.
Yeah. Right, to Shirley's point, there are a number of things and one that may be lost on us. She said in the Cayman Islands, that
means all three.
All three. Okay. As we take this next call, you again shared, we can assume. Joke aside about what you shouldn't assume. But anybody who has built anything in the last 5 years recognize that in contracts now, let's say your simple construction for a single family home, cost increase, contractors want to get back. We've seen significant increase in costs, supply chain issues have been. So what's going to happen if we're building this thing and because of whatever, not just overruns, not just mismanagement, not just inefficiencies, but for whatever reason, we end up with something that we don't know. Now, fixed price contract aside.
Well, there's a cruise berthing facility in Alabama. I recommend every single person on both sides of the table to Google it, go and read the history of it. It was encouraged to be built by the cruise lines. The state of Alabama, they built it, and the cruise lines never show up. It's still sitting there. Now they're trying to use it for cargo and different things, but they never came. They made them build it.
So unlike that movie, build it and they'll come.
No. Build it and they'll stay away is what took place there. But these are just some examples of what power they have when they are in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So we need to be very conscious of all of these things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people. It just blows my mind.
Again, careful. Okay, let's take this call.
Yes, of course.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, good afternoon to you, Sterling. Good afternoon, Mario.
Afternoon. How are you today?
Hope you both well, man. I'm okay.
You too,
and you, man, and you.
Thank you. I stepped out right after Miss Shirley spoke, and so I'm not sure what else transpired. Mario, I support everything you say, except I don't understand where you're going. Talking about people supporters on the left or don't support. Or I'm not sure where the left right come in on that, bro. But I'm certainly a staunch no for the port for so many reasons. I concur and share everything that Shirley says, and any sensible Caymanian, and I strategic or specifically using that word, sensible Caymanians would vote no for the exact same reasons, or if for no other reason, but for the reasons that Shirley shared. Let me just add a little bit to that, Sterling and Mario.
Uh-huh.
Thursday, I think it was. Wednesday or Thursday. I was listening. I happened to be coming home from work late, and I was listening to the Auditor General's report in the House. They were doing, I can't remember why they were there, but it was the committee, and the Auditor General was presenting presentations on the various accounts offerings and that sort of thing. And where I caught was where she was talking about which industries, etc., were number one contributors to our GDP, etc. And tourism, surprisingly, was number 4, as I recall correctly. It was either 3 or 4, but I'm almost certain it was 4, because I'd caught in the tail end of what she was saying. But what I didn't miss, and was most surprising, was that she said that even though that's the case, we spend the most money on promoting tourism. But here's the real kick that really knocked me out, was that only 2/5 of those employed within tourism were Caymanian. So I immediately, of course, thought of the port. I was like, wow, we're spending the most money on the industry that, according to the Auditor General, was our 4th largest contributor in GDP. Construction, I believe, was right before it. Mm-hmm. And the most amount of people that will benefit from it are transient guest workers. Now, there were no distinctions made about where those numbers were pulled from, whether they were for hoteliers or otherwise. She just said 2/5 were Caymanians that worked within the tourism industry, as I recall. Stand to be corrected, but certainly it was along those lines, and I'm pretty good at listening. So I just found that most interesting, and then, of course, my mind started going down this whole entire cruise port thing. As I said, never mind what Shirley just mentioned. Anyone with sense would come to the same conclusion, to not just give any government, never mind those that we've seen most recently, any sort of carte blanche check to destroy our natural environment. I personally have a thing to do with our vistas and views and our natural beauty. I would hate to see Georgetown Harbor as a concrete jungle. We've made so many errors on land, so many, every which way the Caymanian soul turns. So now we want to destroy our natural environment and the water, and it's predominantly because we're ignorant to it. But I divest a little bit but I wanted to share with you all those numbers because I know you're able then to think through what I've been thinking, which is, wow, we're spending a great deal of money on an industry that, according to the AG, only has 2/5 Caymanians. And so it comes back to that question of, who are we developing for? Why isn't 1 million tourists, if that's the number, enough for us? You said it right. We don't know what our max capacity is. Who are we comparing to? Aren't we satisfied that 5 ships come a week, never mind 15 or 20? Mm-hmm. When do we stop? But we want to put a big concrete jungle in the middle of our downtown harbor. Mm-hmm. The only sensible vote for this, for any Caymanian, would be no. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And, Mario?
Well, I agree. I don't disagree at all. And the reality is that when you look at the reasons, or let me not say that. When you try to figure out the reasons why we have never done a comprehensive study to figure out what our carrying capacity is, one would, at least me, person who have done an immense amount of reading and research in this field, my only conclusion is that they are afraid to find out what that number is, because I think we may have already exceeded that number. But yet we have a whole host of activities trying to increase it from what it is, because of the decline in numbers according to them. I haven't seen it, but and to his point with the Auditor General's report, he was spot on. She did say number 4. He's right. He's 100% right. I listened to it as well, and it's a bit ironic that we've heard a lot of people in the pro-port arena say that over 3,000 Caymanian jobs are at stake, but then the Auditor General has something contrary to say in regards to that number. Yeah. So again, here is someone who has access to all of the information in order to give us a report, as opposed to people who are floating around in the industry touting at some numbers and scaremongering people into believing something that not necessarily is the truth.
All right. Something that I want to make sure I clarify. Ms. Shirley, because she identified herself, and the last caller would say the sensible thing to do would vote no.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they're opposed to it. They're opposed to cruise tourism. They're just opposed to what is being proposed, given the lack of information and whatever else. That's all that means, right? And it doesn't mean that you can't revisit it and do it properly with proper information that gives you, what you need. So, okay. You have the final break, Ms. Susan? All right, and then we look at some WhatsApp questions and
absolutely.
I don't know. Let's sing a song.
No, I can't sing.
Stay tuned. Join us after.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with Valley Med Pharmacy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in less than 12 plus minutes remaining, Mario Rankin sits with us. A couple of messages that we want to read.
Of course.
We go right ahead. All right, let's see. Because boy, if I don't put these on, I should clean them. But anyway, so afternoon, Sterling and Mario. We have become money hungry and are failing our biggest asset, the Caymanian people. Where is the human impact study for this port proposal? I'm just reading the comments that are coming. One says, we must demand strategic planning and data-driven decisions. One says, Cayman, why are we not good enough as we are? Stop trying to be what others want us to be. We are the Cayman Islands. How is it going to be paid for? Good afternoon says, I'm concerned about Mr. McKeever's comment that they will build a pier no matter the results of the referendum. These are just comments and questions from people. I don't know. Some of the good questions and comments.
I don't like that last one, but yeah, I mean, let me just say this in response to that: is that mouth say anything when it learn how to talk, and whereas Makiba may have that opinion, don't necessarily mean that would be the outcome. And certainly, if we have a referendum and we go against what the referendum results were, then where does that leave good governance and democracy and all of the things in which we claim we represent?
Yeah.
You know, why put a Section 72 in the Constitution if we're not willing to, to.
But all that aside, right, and not to confuse nor conflate, the PPM government implemented this nonsensical one man one vote foolishness. There was a referendum that was soundly rejected, right? And they came around and did it how they did it. So maybe by inference, people are becoming cynical. They're becoming very, very skeptical of politicians listening to people. No, that's a political statement. You're offended. Come with a big pen because the rock hit you, right?
Right.
But we need to be sensible. Get what we could get. Don't put your hat high and you can reach it, but don't cut off your nose, spite your face. We can throw a lot of things on the table as well.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it just tells me exactly who we don't need to be in power again.
All right. But with that, though, it seems that, again, we're fighting each other. We're not fighting for the same thing. We're not fighting together. The fact that we're fighting is bad enough, but we're fighting each other.
Let's not forget who employed Meisner Marine to build the current port that we have that is not efficient.
Yeah.
It was the same person that said we can build a port regardless of the outcome of the referendum.
But all that aside, it seems that, just generally speaking, we forget things that happened in the past. Didn't we spend like $1 million or whatever it was to put down those buoys? Remember way back when?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we also just spent a few $1 million to do an EIA report on the East-West Arteria to deter us from building the road.
Okay.
Why would a government agency do that to another government agency and then have a road show to try to advocate that the most expensive model is the only model there is to scaremonger people? I just don't understand. How is it that our government entities who are supposed to be working together collectively are
but this is what
disconnected?
I'm asking. We're fighting each other.
Yeah.
You and I cheering for our favorite football team. Right? And I ask you who you think of. I heard you got a fan, but anyway. But we would not go and sit together and fight each other when we come into cheering for the team.
Yeah.
Right? We're just the fans. We're not even players, right? As a country, as employees in an organization, as voters, am I being naive, or are we being so duped and duplicitous that we no longer have any sense of integrity or humility or anything of any value?
I just can't understand why is it that to do the right thing in the spirit of Cayman or Caymanians has always seemed to be the hardest thing to do. I haven't seen a single piece of legislation in 50 years that is geared towards enhancing or creating the continuity or survival or sustainability of a Caymanian brand. I don't see it anywhere.
You're right.
And I am absolutely, mind blown and disappointed and frustrated and exhausted. I can tell you this, Sterling. Yes, I speak publicly all the time. I have a podcast. I do all these things. I don't do it for financial gain. I don't do it for benefit. I do it for love of this place, where I would love to see my children have children and be able to live here and feel proud about living and dying in Cayman. Yeah. I know that there's a lot of changes, and I'm not gonna advocate that we should go back to beat mosquitoes off our cows. I'm not talking about that.
No,
I'm talking about where is the place for the Caymanian brand in this glamorous Cayman in which we have not only envisioned and now we're starting to see as a reality.
Yeah.
We look at the Georgetown Harbor area. We saw where all of the big businesses pulled out and went further down the road to Camana Bay. Right? We spoke about this in the break. Who's one of the first financial institutions that moved to Camana Bay? We all know who that is. Right? We understand that. And then we look at a report that was published by that same entity, 2014, suggesting that we should sell off all the Crown land and we should sell off all the government entities. Why would anybody who have Cayman in its best interest suggest that we should divest all of our crown land and our entities and all of our... Why would we even consider doing that? And then now I look at the links of Safe Haven and all of the land acquisitions that are going on with the Salt Creek area that have been turned from leasehold to freehold, and for the little bit of peanuts that we accepted for it. This is a big play. This is a huge play, and none of us, I can tell you, not me, don't have the financial capability to go head to head and toe to toe. Now, the only thing I have is my mouth and my ability and willingness to go out and do the necessary research and reading in order to have a slight bit informed opinion and share it publicly so people can also have an idea of what's taking place in Cayman. Because if we're going to trade off our identity and our brand for the yellow brick road, then let's just say that and get it over with and done, so we know exactly what to expect when certain things don't happen or do happen. Okay? Because everybody window shop at Commander Bay. Everybody go down and window shop. Whether you like the establishment or not, it's one of the best built establishments probably in the Caribbean. But are we willing to accept that as a trade-off for the Caymanian brand, continuity, sustainability, and existence? We're not contributors in our island. We are the people who are on the side of the road. We are standing by. We're watching it all unfold. You heard what the gentleman said the last caller said. Who are we developing for?
Yeah. But that question has been asked for decades. Many of us, from the political hopeful to the political elected, have taken that personal. And maybe we haven't. I saw a video the other day, and I asked the person to show it to me again. A young lady in her vehicle, and she said, thanks for letting me have a little rant. And as I listened to her, watch her eyes, hear her heart, she's basically saying, I want a place in my country where I feel like I belong.
Yes.
If I don't belong in my country, can you imagine you come home from school one day and your mom and dad look at you and turn you out?
Listen.
That's what's happening.
It's funny that we have this particular topic right now. I just last night sent my daughter a video. And in the video it says, no matter how hard life get, no matter how broke you are, no matter where you are in this world, no matter what went wrong, what took place, you always can come home.
Yeah, no matter how far away you are.
You can come home. Yeah. You don't need to pay rent there. You don't need to worry about nobody telling you can't stay there. You always welcome to come home. In fact, you're welcome to stay. You don't have to leave.
Yeah. Thanks, Mario. And I appreciate you sharing that, because
I was only saying that because I think that my daughter graduates in July from Leicester, and I'm grateful that she's made the decision to come home, to come back home. And we have, most parents struggle with the idea, even though we want to encourage our children to elevate themselves and do whatever they feel is in the best interest of them. But we also have in the back of our mind is that, look, listen, I would love nothing more than that you were just a car drive away, or that you were a phone call away, or I can say, oh, you want to go lunch today, or a coffee, or whatever the case is.
Yep, man.
In this particular case now, if I want to go lunch with my daughter, I'll get on a 12-hour flight. Yeah. And I don't mind doing that either. But I'm just simply saying is that how do we establish a roots program for our people to feel, great pride in coming home and contributing, but yet we have all of the institutions and all of the mechanisms that have gated them out and guarded them out and marginalized them. We have institutions that guards the legal fraternity, that guards the accountant fraternity, and these are all people made up from other parts of the world who are going to defend their people naturally, like we would defend our own, hopefully. And yet we ask ourselves the question, why Cayman you don't have a fair opportunity to climb the corporate ladder? Which is why I struggle when a certain individual who have declared for politics now just left an institution in the financial services but didn't leave a Caymanian at the helm, who had every opportunity to do so because a Caymanian brought him in to the fray. But he didn't leave by leaving a Caymanian in charge. So these are the sort of things that I pay attention to.
See, as I listen to you,
and now they want to be a representative.
Yeah. What if we have someone who worked let's use financial services, since, recognizing that retired, for whatever reason, your pension that you'll get is insufficient to live on. The health insurance coverage that you had is insufficient to.
Yeah.
You can't enter politics to get those things. No, what about the rest of us who won't have that option? I'm not trying to be overly political, but I'm asking us, as you shared, your daughter, mine, the next person, no matter how far they are, how long they've been away, they always have to come back. But they need to have a place to come back to. Our young people do not feel that there's a future for them. They're telling us that. Yet we are making accommodations and concessions for everybody else, from tourism to financial services to construction. Where are we?
Yeah,
it's about coming together, man.
It is, and I'm so, and you heard me say this many times. How is it that we live and operate in an environment that has created financial wealth for so many other nationalities in institutions in which we are qualified to contribute in, right? How is it that we have not spun that straw wheel and created some gold from our own people as much as we've done for everybody else? So I saw an article in the Compass last week, and it blew my mind, because I said, this guy must have been reading my memoirs and my articles, and he must have been listening, or he may have the same frame of mind that I have. He said the Cayman Islands need a sovereignty. How many times you heard me say that?
Sovereign fund, right?
We need a sovereign fund.
Yeah.
You know why? Because most families in the Cayman Islands, Sterling, is one medical incident away from bankruptcy, because they're not adequately insured or covered, because they don't have the premium from the financial institute that they work with. They got the minimum. So if God forbid that something happens, that they got to sell their house in order to pay for that person to stay alive, and then where they are now, they back at they square one.
Yeah.
So why is it that we don't have a sovereign fund that ensures that the little small minority of us, I mean, come on, if we got 20,000 Caymanians, we got plenty. So why is it that we don't have extractions from every institution that generates GDP in this country, that generates revenue in this country, that goes into a sovereignty that ensures health care, housing, and education and all these things? No Caymanian that is third and fourth generation should be paying for health care, school, housing, or any of that stuff, because we have an environment that an equity partner in a law firm or an accounting firm could make $12 million a year, but yet we got charities feeding our children, we got Meals on our Wheels feeding our old people, and we sitting down here tapping ourselves on our shoulder like we're doing a good job. We're doing a poor job managing our affairs. Plain and simple.
Mario, perhaps we don't realize that we're disrespectful of giving our people a handout as opposed to a help up. I thank you for it. Whether people like you, as you said, and agree with you, what I like is that we still have a free, safe place that we can share. Yeah. So thanks, man.
I do this not for likes. I do this because I want to earn the respect of my children. The only people's opinions that I care about is my children's opinions. Everybody else can go fly a kite.
All right. Mario, thanks very much, man. Before you go, I'll walk you out. Miss Susan, thank you very much. To listeners, I'll leave it at this. Time to think and time to act, but in unity. Time to respect and love and care. End of the day, it's not about being political expedient. It's about being, what is it, Miss Susan? Honest, and with humility, with integrity, with a sense of principle approach. Time is now. Till tomorrow, my friends. Join Mr. Art, right? For the record. Let's see what happens. Stay tuned.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
You are listening to